Hey guys, welcome back. So in the last video we saw how we could create this kind of full screen page, and there are a couple of updates we have to make. You see this margin here, what we want to create is a full screen page, so we don't want that margin, and this is because we did a margin top of -20 here. We don't need this anymore, so this should fix that space, and you see we have a full screen. Now what we want to achieve at this point is to create an overlay that will make this text a lot more readable. So we're going to see how we're going to do that. So first thing first, the way to do that, first we need to merge these two guys. So because we are basically duplicating a lot of styles here, so what we can do is just reduce the font size of this one to say 20 pixels, and then we'll let this guy have all of this style that this guy has. Okay, something like this. Okay, so it's a lot better now. Okay, so the way to do that, the way to create an overlay is, first of all, we will come to, okay, cool. So inside the main, we want the overlay to be on the main. We don't want the overlay to stretch to the navigation, so we want it to be just on the main area. So we've added a div with a class of overlay here. So what we're going to do is that we're going to style this div. Okay, so close this up. So say overlay. So first we're going to give it a top of 0, and give it right of 0. So we want to give it a width, actually, so width of 100%. Remember, this is 100% of its parent, because if you see, you see that this div with a class of overlay is inside main, right? And we styled main to have a height of 85 viewport height, right? So 100% of 85 viewport height is going to be 85 viewport height. So we're going to do that for the height also. Actually, that's for the height. What I explained earlier was for the height, so it's the height we gave 85 viewport height here, you can see. So the width will just be the 100%, which is stretched across the entire screen. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is to give this guy a position of absolute, or you know what, let's give it a background color of black. Okay, so okay, something's not quite right here, right? That's pixels, just pixels. Okay, so let's give it a position property of absolute. Position is going to be absolute. Okay, now the problem is it's covering the entire thing, and that is because we need to give the parent a position property of relative, right? So we know we can describe other elements relative to it. So position relative. Okay, so you see the black is now within the main. So what we need to do is to create some sort of overlay so that we can see through the background image. So we'll say opacity here. Oh, this should be semicolon. So opacity, let's do 0.7. So opacity is a value that goes from 0 to 1. So the closer to 0 it is, the more the view. So the closer to 1 it is, the higher the opacity. So you see, we did an opacity of 0.7, and you see, if we make it 0.8, you see the background becomes becomes even more darker. Okay, but our text are still not readable, so there's one more thing we still need to do. So we need to give the text um, we need to give the text a position property also, and it should be relative. So this is basically to, you know, um, create that stack that will allow us to bring the text to the front of the rest of the screen, as you can see. So this is what we wanted to achieve. So we have our logo and we have our text displaying just as we want it. Now there is also something else we can do. Instead of just using a plain color as the background, I mean, we could have done this background color since it's just, yeah, but instead of using a plain color, we can just say background, and then we can do a gradient, right? We can do a linear gradient, so where you have different colors combined to create a gradient excuse me, in the background. So the way to do that is, first of all, you have to define two colors, and you also have to define the direction of the gradient. So we're going to say, for the direction, we're going to say to right, and then we put a comma, and then we'll define the color. We're going to use the RGBA value, where R where R stands for red, G stands for green, B stands for blue, and A stands for the opacity. So usually when we the values we add will be um, the way the way color theory works on the web is that every color is um, a combination of different shades of either red, green, or blue, right? So the A is mainly when you want to create an opacity, which we want in this case. If you don't want an opacity to just be RGB, but we want to add some opacity. But first off, let's just deal with the color itself. Now we want the colors usually go from 255, the value of each. So if I do 255, that means I want complete red, right? If I do 255, it means I want a complete um, I want a complete green. And then if I do 255, it means I want a complete blue. So if I combine all three, what it's going to give me is basically white, right? So but I don't want them to be in their full value. I want to do something like 85 for red, um, let's say 100 for green. You can see the resultant color tends towards red the more. That is because tends towards blue. That is because you can see B, which represents the last value. B is in its full value. So for this, let's just do 45 or 40, so you can see what it gives us, the value. Now that is the first color, so we're gonna do the same. We're gonna do the same for the second color, so you can define it as whatever you want. So we can call this 185. You can see this is tending towards red because the red value is the highest. Okay, I hope this makes sense. So I'm gonna do and then this is gonna be 100. Okay, so if I save this and we look here, you see nothing really happens, and that is because hold on, Okay, I need to give this guy this. Okay, you can see what is going on here. So um you can see it goes from this blue guy, this green here, slightly green, and it goes down to this one. So that's why I say to right. So the color starts from the first one is to the right, and it gradually goes down to the second color that we define onto the right. Okay, but we want to add our um we want to add our opacity. So we're going to include a for opacity, and then for opacity, remember opacity goes from 0 to 1. So we're going to say 0.8 for this one, and then for this one we're going to say, okay, for this one we're going to say we need to put a here, and then we're going to say 0.8 also. Okay, did we have an opacity? Okay, let's kind of change the color up. Okay, to right. Just a moment. Okay. Oh, I have to remove the opacity here. Okay. Okay, cool. So we have an opacity now. So we can reduce the opacity for this one. We can say, remember, see, if you change the opacity to 0.1, you see the opacity is going to be completely gone on the right, and that is because 0.1 is very much closer to 0 than 0.8. So we have our opacity. So you can create whatever shade you want, and you can have this. Okay, so we can also increase this, you see. So this is how you create linear gradient. You can adjust the color as much as you want until you get what you really are looking for. So this is how you create overlay, both using a plain background color and also using a linear gradient. So maybe in the next video we are going to talk more about how you can, already we've seen how you can center text to the bring text to the center of the element. All right, so what we are going to do is in the next video we're going to maybe do a demo, design a very very simple login page so that we are able to tie everything together, and then you see how everything works. So there's also responsiveness. So we're also going to talk about responsiveness. Um, Basically, responsiveness is a big deal as far as CSS is concerned, and usually using Flexbox gives you some basic responsiveness, but there's sometimes you need to go the extra mile to define different screen sizes and conditionally write styles. So that we're talking about media queries. So probably look at that also in the coming videos. All right.